Hey guys, Fryedegg here, and this is the spellbook section of my Orcs Must Die 2 high scoring guide version 1.0, and let's dig into it. So I've had some questions and concerns about the spellbook, so I wanted to kind of break it down a little further for everybody. It's really not all that complicated, but when it comes to high scoring, the spellbook is kind of your best friend because as you should all know by now, anyone that's fans from the first game, this replaced the weavers, and that was something you had to, if you wanted a high score, you had to get into the weavers every time you played every map. But so now beforehand, before you even go into a map, you can pretty much tackle the spellbook, change things around to accommodate what you're doing for that map, what you're bringing, and be able to maximize what you're doing. So let's take a look here. You have the spellbook has 5 sections and a question mark. That kind of explains things, I guess, but we don't need that. Little brief 2-picture tutorial. This shows you what you have purchased. It also shows you what's upgraded. You can tell things are upgraded by them having this shield on it. I don't know, I have things that aren't upgraded. I have to fix that. Yeah, so this is just a basic overview. This is kind of helpful for when you don't have everything purchased. You can kind of come in here and look and say, oh, well, I have this, and this, but yeah, so that's what this is. This is called the My Traps, the My Gear tab. Then you have the Traps tab. This has all the traps, guardians, and whatnot right here. That some of the things you will have to purchase. Others, like I know barricades you get automatically. The archers, arrow walls. I think there's 15 traps you get automatically, and the rest you have to actually purchase via skulls here. So I have everything purchased, obviously, as you can see, because there's nothing left to buy. Next is weapons. Right, here's the weapons tab. These are all the weapons you can bring. When a lot of times I call like these kind of things, I'll call them spells, because you usually use the right click for when you actually cast something. But yeah, so these are all the weapons. And yeah, I did not upgrade these fully yet. A couple, I think this and the bone amulet. That's okay. I'm working on it. I'm almost done. Then you have your trinkets, which are all right here. And these, you purchase the trinket if it's one you have to purchase. Some of these you get for free. You'll just get them. And the specials, they're one-time buys. You can have them both equipped at once. So I highly recommend any trinket you get. Definitely try to get it with both of the specials going, because the trinkets are very powerful, and the specials are definitely worth having attached to them. Lastly, you have you can buy this here. I believe this is the only thing you have to buy, is this Orc Slayer costume. Once I have the extra skulls, I'll probably buy it, but personally I like this Knight of the Order costume. And recently I just got this Alienware costume through an Alienware promotion. And it's basically it's the minor costume, but like with a much darker color scheme. And then you can see it has the little Alienware alien head right there on the shoulder pad. So that is the brief overview. And as much as it pains me to do this, I'm going to do it for the sake of the video. As you're progressing through the game, this right here, refund skulls. This is something you're going to have to do a lot, and it's not really that big a deal because you do it before you actually go in and like give a map your 100% try. And when I say 100% try, I'll explain right now. So let's do a quick little we'll do a mock-up. Say I'm gonna play servant entrance. What I would normally do, personally, I'll go into this map, I will look around, I'll see where I want to put my kill box, and based on what traps I have available to me, I'll then make a decision on what traps I want to bring and how I want them to be upgraded. And until you have probably, to me it was like, even still sometimes like even up like around 800 skulls, I would still have to refund them sometimes. But until you get a lot of skulls, you're gonna have to find yourself refunding your skulls to move stuff around and bring the traps you want to bring. So go into this map, scout it around, you figure out what you want to bring, then you're going to come back to your spellbook, alright? And we're going to pretend like I don't have the stuff purchased that I want to bring. So I'm going to refund my skulls. I don't want to do this. and and now I have 1,470 skulls to distribute. So I'm gonna go to my traps or my whatever you want to start. Say we're playing servant entrance. I know I want to bring, let's say I know I want to bring barricades. So I'm going to make sure I fully upgrade these, so they cost the cheapest. And that map has sappers, so I'm going to take the reduced damage from attacks because that's great for sappers. Then I'm gonna go. I also want to bring tar, so I'm gonna upgrade my tar max. And I'm gonna take this one here. Enemies, the slowing effect persists briefly after enemies leave the tar. I'm gonna take that with me as well. Okay. I'm also gonna want to bring, let's say, archers. I'll bring them. I'm gonna upgrade them. So that's 3 things now. I'm gonna bring the set enemies on fire. Did I already get these? I'm gonna get arrow walls as well. Fully upgrade the damage. I'm gonna make it so you can place them on the ceiling. And I'm going to take it so they set stuff on fire. That should be 4 things. And I'm going to want to bring dwarfs. So I'm going to make them do their max damage. And I'll always want to take this. They could possibly cause things to bleed. I'm going to want to take grinders. I'm going to purchase that. I'm going to take that. And then I'm also going to take this. They also can cause stuff to bleed. And let's just say whatever. So let's say one more thing. So I have a couple more things. I have my loadout set. I have my loadout customized to the map I'm going to play and the way I'm going to play it. So that's my method I would take before I would go into every map. So I would find myself shuffling my skulls around quite a bit in the spellbook to get things fine-tuned. The next thing I want to talk about in the spellbook is traps and their affixes. Now, this is something else you want to think about. I'll probably do a whole video on this alone, but something you want to think about with your spellbook and the traps are all these traps. If you're not aware, they have affixes on them, or affixes that equate to extra combo modifiers. So this spike here. Let's look at this spike. You know, spikes come out of the ground. So we'll get it so it resets faster, and then you look here. These 2 things. The spikes, when they go off, they're going to either add a snare or they're going to add a bleed. And either of these effects are indefinite. It's going to 100% add this or this. So what's going to happen is essentially this spike trap, now that I did that, is now worth 2 combo points, because you get a combo point for the spike hitting it, and you're also going to get a combo point for this snare affix being applied to it. Okay. Now this is something you want to think about when you're going for high scores, because these affixes, which we're going to go over briefly, you want to try to stack them in a smart way to where you don't have things canceling each other. And you can have the maximum amount of affixes up at the same time on monsters coming through your kill box. So there's one affix. Now let's go back to let's hit back here and let's go back to our tar. So the tar is another one that can, from what we're seeing in the forums, they're saying that this adds 2. They're saying that the slow from the tar is actually a separate affix. So this tar, I think, is also worth 2. I'll probably I'll eventually. I'm assuming I'll probably have some friends from the forums come and correct me if I'm wrong about this. But I haven't been able to get a 3x combo with something on the tar and just the tar. So I mean, with just like killing it with the crossbow and it being on the tar. So I'm not 100% sure, but they're saying that the slow from the tar is also an FX. That's still up to debate for me as far as I'm concerned. So that's one more thing we'll talk about real quick. The next thing I'm going to talk about is fire. So fire you can get from archers here, and this is sometimes, so it's not constant. You can also get it from your crossbow, which I'll do real fast. Purchase it, get extra headshot damage. This is also a sometimes, right? So that's good. You know, those are both good things. And arrow walls also sometimes, right? So that's 3 things that are sometimes. So that's not exactly what we want. So what I like to usually bring along is a Scorcher, and the Scorcher, since it actually sets them on fire, is an indefinite combo point, and this burns longer. The burning is that fire damage, that fire affix. So this actually adds 2 combos. It adds a combo for the trap, and it adds this fire burning. So this is a good thing. So that's snare, fire, and we talked a little bit about bleed. We had bleed on the dwarfs. Where are they at? Our little dwarf buddies, right? These can sometimes cause things to bleed, and the grinders can sometimes make things bleed. This is the one thing that I bring along that is not indefinite, but the way I think I get around this not being an indefinite combo or affix to be constantly applied is because I usually end up having a good amount of dwarfs, and I usually end up having a grinder. So I usually basically have that bleed affix trying to be applied, anywhere between like 5 and 10 times to monsters coming through. So I feel that's enough to almost keep it as a constant. The next thing we'll talk about is stun. So stun, I'm not a huge proponent of stuns on traps, only because it's not constant. Or I'm not huge in having it on just the trap. Let me rephrase that. So this right here, this will stun heavies. So I like having the haymaker. We did that. I also believe the zapper can do it. Yeah, the zapper can do it. Make it so we can put them on walls. And these can also stun. This is a definite, which is good. The haymaker only affects heavies, whereas this will affect everything. Last thing I know that there's 2 other things that add stun is the pounder. And it's a definite, and it's everything. And then the swinging mace I know also stuns. Right here. So I usually never bring that on the swinging mace when I do bring it, so I'll do that for now. So let's talk about the stun real quick. So say you get the haymaker here. I'm a fan of the haymaker in my kill boxes because 2 things. One, it can add the stun, but with saying that, it only adds it to let's look here. Right here, see it stuns heavier enemy mobs that it can't throw. So from heavy orc down, it will not stun them. So that's a negative about it. But the second thing I really like about this trap is when this thing's down and spinning, it's effectively working for, I don't know, like 5 seconds. It's just spinning and kicking ass. Whereas a pounder's one and done. A zapper can have multiple charges, but it's a little, the damage on it's a little too bursty for me. Where this still hits pretty hard, but things can flow through it a lot better instead of just dying. So I like the haymaker for that reason. It's constantly spinning and stuff can move through it, and it can hit multiple things instead of just firing one time and being done completely. So that's what I like about the haymaker. Now, let me on the subject of stun, let me talk about the crossbow. So crossbow's secondary fire is launch a stun bomb. Okay. Now here's why I like the crossbow personally versus the blunderbuss or any other weapon. So the crossbow with the fire arrows. So you have your regular crossbow pew pew. So just your arrow itself. When the arrow sets something on fire, that's adding 2 combos right there. Your stun, your secondary attack, is a 3rd combo. And the thing I love about the crossbow stun is, unlike all the other stuff going on, this is a 100% constant stun. Because it's controlled by you, and it's also area of effect, and it has a longer duration than the rest of the stuns, which can be good or bad. But what I like about this crossbow stun is, all right, say it could be whatever any of the traps, minus say the mace because the mace constantly swings. But okay, the trap's down, so you're automatically losing that trap's actual combo point, and you're losing that trap's stun affects, which also can add a combo point. So you're already down 2 combo points. So if you had the blunderbuss, you have the actual shotgun shot, and it can add a bleed. Well, chances are I'm going to have my dwarfs and my grinder going, so my bleed's going to be there, but chances are my stun might not be because my traps are down. This stun, I always have it in my back pocket, and I use it quite a bit. Like when things are right where I want them to be, I drop a stun on them because that's what I do. It works very well for me. I love dropping the stun. I love having the control over it, and the duration on it. I think it could, like I said, it could be good and bad. Sometimes if you stun too soon, that could be bad because then things start dying outside of the kill box. But if you stun just right, I've gotten countless 9s and 10x's on regular orcs because I dropped the stun just at the right time, added my and then also added my crossbow regular spam fire, and on all my traps, everything went off. It was like it was a masterpiece of orc killing. So that's basically pretty much it for the affixes. There's also, those are the affixes I like to use. We'll go over them briefly again real quick. I like to use, we'll go back to the traps. I like to use snare, which is on the spikes. Okay. I like to use slow, which is from the tar. And I do, if you do this, persist briefly, so when stuff walks off the tar, that slow is still on them. Okay. I like to use fire, which you get from archers, flame, floor scorchers, your crossbow. So you get it definitely from one thing, and sometimes from archers and the arrow walls. And then bleed you get sometimes from the dwarfs and the grinders, but I think it's, especially if you have like anywhere between 5 and 10 dwarfs and then a grinder that's not jammed, I think that bleed is pretty much a constant affix being added if you have that many things adding it. So, and then stun from your haymaker on heavies, and then from you, your stun is a constant from you paying attention and stunning things when it needs to be stunned. And so four affixes is, as far as we know, the most they could be applied right now, because what happens is there's other affixes and they start canceling each other out. So really quickly, there is, let me see if I have anything without, the coin forge also can add an affix, unique affix, but that's a little more complicated to use. I don't have any, the only thing I know I have is the ice amulet. That adds the, well, actually I have a couple things. Ice amulet, that adds the frozen, but frozen cancels fire. The lightning ring here, you can do the chill lightning storm. This one, but that chill can cancel out fire. Now it overwrites it and it replaces it, but it's still canceling it out. So I'd rather have things that aren't stepping on each other. Frozen can cancel out stun. Things like that. But like I said, that's going to be a whole nother kind of video where I get into it a little more in depth and try to really make that make sense for everybody. But as far as the spellbook goes, that's the spellbook in a nutshell. That's what you want to think about. You want to come to the map select screen. You want to look at your map. You want to first, every time you go to play a map, unless you have everything completely unlocked, even if you don't, because what you end up having to do sometimes, like if I want to go play passages right now and I had everything upgraded, I'll still go in there and look, or I might go in there and not look and start and realize I don't have my spellbook, have my upgrades the way I want them. So I always go in there, I set my loadout bar, and I say, all right, this is exactly what I want to bring. Let's do that real quick. So I'll show you my process. Okay, so let's go in there real fast. This is adding a little time to the video, but it's worth it. I want to be thorough with this, because I mean, for something as easy as it is, I think it's something we should go over. Scorcher there, grinder. Okay. So this is the stuff I know I want to bring. I want to bring every single one of these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my spellbook and I'm going to look at these things in particular and make sure that they have the upgrades on them that I desire. Because right now I know For this map in particular, I want this with fire. I want this with snare, this with slow persists, this with fire arrows, this with burns longer than go on walls, this with stuns big enemies, this with bleed, these with bleed, these with reduced damage, and these with fire arrows. So I would do that. I'd go back to my spellbook, and then I'd go and I'd cross-check those things. I'd say, all right, crossbow. Yes, I got that the way I want it. Then I'd go spikes. Okay, I got that the way I want it. Tar. I got that the way I want it. Arrow walls. I got that the way I want it. Scorcher. I have that the way I want it. Actually, I don't. Now I do. Then I'd go... not Haymaker yet. What's number 6? 6666? I'm forgetting something. Am I forgetting something? No, this is right. Yeah, Haymaker. Haymakers are usually number 6 for me. That's how I want it. Then Grinder. That's how I want it. Then... yeah, Dwarfs. That's how I want them. Then Barricades. That's how I want them. And Archers. That's how I want them. Okay, so now I know I have my spellbook is right, so my traps will be the way I want them with their upgrades. So I'm doing the highest amount of combos I could do to get the highest scores I should be able to get. So that's the process there for the spellbook. Hopefully that made sense. That the affix thing was a little confusing. Like I said, I want to talk about that in another video, completely on its own, and get a little more in depth with that. So yeah, now that I'm done with the video, guys, I'm gonna have to go back through my spellbook and buy everything all over again. So I'll spare you guys that boring, just me buying stuff. And thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the rest of the guides, guys. I'll talk to you later. Peace.